All right, we are back at the drone park here today. We have Developer, the same one that we've been troubleshooting and testing for the last couple of weeks or so. Despite making claims that we have narrowed the problem down to the MLRS radio or radios, that does not seem to be the case, as shown in our test flights that we did yesterday. So we're going to set up the MLRS parameters as they are supposed to be set up according to our documentation, again available through the iVue Robotics website. But then we're going to try out a new GPS. This is actually maybe not a new GPS, but a different GPS, the same model that's currently standard in Developer. And then we do have a larger GPS here as well. This is an RTK GPS. So if this GPS unit doesn't work, we'll switch over to this one. But we think that there's some hardware problem or interference problem with the GPS actually causing this rotation. So let's go ahead and set up the parameters. I'm just going to need to grab a USB cable. All right, I have the USB cable and our trusty little USB-C to USB adapter. Route that around, just plug it into Developer via the USB-C connection on the back side. You'll hear it boot up, and we're just going to open up Q ground control. If neither of these GPS options work, we do have one other option for the Developer Mini that, again, if neither of these work today, that'll be another day of testing, as I definitely did not leave that back at the workshop. But in any case, we have Q ground control pulled up, going back to the vehicle configuration screen, going to parameters. And then I am opening up our parameters document, again accessible through the iVue Robotics website. Here, just click the download icon or anywhere where you see the UI respond. And now going back to Q ground control, we're just going to type in SR1. And then to make it a little bit easier on ourselves, I just typed in EX, so extra stat. We need to change to 2 hertz. SR1 extra 1, we need to change to 4 hertz. SR1 extra 2, we need to change to 4 hertz. SR1 extra 3, change to 2 hertz. SR1 params, 50 hertz. SR1 position, 2 hertz. SR1 RC channel, 1 hertz, 1 hertz. Ow! And then lastly, for this RX radio setup, we're selecting serial 1 underscore options and setting that to 4096, which I forget exactly which checkbox it is, so this is one we're going to use advanced settings, manual entry, and then now we can enter in 4096, hit save, and just so you can see, ignore stream rate is the checkbox selected if you don't want to do the manual entry approach. Alright, so now we're going to reboot vehicle with all those parameters written. Alright, we're getting the boot up as we should. Instead of opening up Q ground control, I'm actually now going to unplug Developer just so we're not having to figure out which connection is which. Plugging in our TX radio. And we're going to set the parameters for it as it should be. Just waiting for Mission Planner to finish opening and select the radio from the drop down, select connect. Then we don't have Develop Air connected, so you're not going to have to choose between the quad rotor or Develop Air and the radio itself. You'll see just this telemetry radio option appears. So now we're going to config, full parameters list. I find it helpful to refresh parameters. Very rarely, if ever, hurts to do so. Just make sure all the parameters are loading correctly. And then we're needing to change the TX channel source to 0. It's currently set to 1. And then we need to set TX send radio stat to 1, and it is already set to 1. So we're going to write parameters, hit yes, and that should be all the setup that we have to do. So let's just, from a control perspective, we'll do what should be quick flight with Develop Air. We should still be seeing the rotation as we have not swapped out the GPS unit, but again, just trying to keep our testing under somewhat of a control here. Because we're scientific, we believe in science. All right, I have the iVue RC app queued up. I'm not bringing the props out with me just so I can give Develop Air a little bit of time to get a good satellite connection. All right. We have established a connection, opening up the iVue RC app, hit connect drone, and we're getting battery and voltage information. We're not getting satellite information reported back. I'm actually going to go ahead and refresh the iVue RC app just to see if that's our software causing an issue, or there's some issue between our software and the radio. So hit connect. Here we go. Yep. So just refreshed and got the satellite information as we should. We're connected to 9 satellites. That should increase by at least another couple here. But while we wait for Develop Air to lock onto more satellites, props on, props off. It's impossible for me to not make a Karate Kid reference whenever I think of putting on the props, taking them off. Mr. Miyagi has taught me well. All right. This boom arm is a little looser than what I would like. Something about vibrations, you know, causing tolerances to increase over time. I think we should still be good. Famous last words, we should still be good. Alright, yeah, we have 13 satellites now. Again, not a fully charged battery, but should be more enough for the testing that we're doing. We're not seeing the flight mode being highlighted, but let's see if we were to put in loiter. Okay, that is working properly. We are in loiter flight mode. Let's go ahead, fly drone, arm and fly, take off to 10 feet. Again, we're kind of anticipating rotation here. Yep. All right. And land. All right, I'm going to take the approach of just unplugging it instead of using Q ground control. But Jacob, the props are spinning. Watch out. You're going to hurt yourself. All right. Exactly as intended. Perfect landing. No problems whatsoever. All right. I just plugged it back in. Really didn't need to do that because now we're going to switch out the top cover. Or really just the GPS, but I guess I was right in saying the top cover. Theoretically, you could just swap out the GPS using a few screws, but not having a screwdriver, and it's actually, even if we had a screwdriver, just kind of more simple to switch out the top cover itself. So we have a new top cover, but we're gonna take the radio from the old one, just again to keep the same control, even though we do have another radio handy. All right, just taking off all the brass hardware. You have a nut, split nut, and a washer. Going to set this aside so I don't confuse it. We have company. All right. So washer goes back on, then the split nut, and then the hex nut. And just make sure the antenna's pushed up all the way. Make sure it's nice and tight. Tight, tight, tight! For all my Breaking Bad folks out there. Or all my fellow crack smokers. Kidding. I don't smoke crack. That much. Alright. Plugging the radio back into telemetry 1, GPS back into GPS 1, and we'll likely have to do a compass and accelerometer calibration. But let's see in Q ground control what it actually prompts us to do. All right, top cover goes on just like so. And even though, again, more likely than not going to have to do an accelerometer calibration, we'll just set it out here and verify that's the case. If that is indeed the case, we'll probably take the props off, bring it back, do the accelerometer calibration over at the table, and then we'll do the compass calibration back out there. I may need our pro content producer, B. Ryan, to help us out with that. But let's see, Q ground control. I actually never hit disconnect from the iVue RC app. Now I just did. No GPS lock. Compass is inconsistent. Vehicle has failed a pre-arm check. It is already establishing a satellite connection though, so that's good. Let's wait for a little bit and see if that compass is inconsistent. Problem goes away, and if it doesn't, then yeah, we'll definitely need to do a compass calibration, but looks like no need for an accelerometer calibration. All right, we have 11 satellites. Connection to 11 satellites. All right, let's go ahead and even though it's still gonna lock onto another couple satellites, or I would think so, we'll do a compass calibration. If you don't mind helping us out with this, seems like more consistently you're able to do it better than I. All right, and I'm just about to hit OK, so you should hear the beep, and it beeped, so yeah, go ahead and proceed. Again, it's a little bit more unwieldy to do the compass calibration with the props on, but Brian's a pro, there's nothing he can't do. Props on or off. All right, take that back. That was one in the yellow, one in the red. Go ahead, put it back down. Let me give it the good old college try. All right, hitting OK, running over here, show some sense of urgency. Urgent. It's probably not great that I have my smartwatch on. It's really not great to have any sort of electronic devices near develop air while you're doing a compass calibration, but let's see how well I did.
Yellow, high red.
Yeah, take 3, a little bit better, but no cigar. All right. All right, about quarter of the way there. Just about halfway there. About 2/3 to 3/4 of the way there, and should be wrapping it up just now. And yeah, really same thing. Top of the yellow, top of the red. So what we're gonna do is probably just take off the propellers and see if we can get a better rotation with it not having to work around the propellers extruding or jutting out as much as they do. And that's not great, that got rotated. Two-man job to take off props, who would have thought, and do the compass calibration. All right, compass, okay. Leaving my watch back on the table, although that's just another variable. All right, we'll give it another shot if you don't mind giving it a go, and if you don't get it, we might just say this GPS not so great, and we'll switch over to the RTK GPS. All right, and it should be good. Yeah, no bueno. All right, well, now with Develop Air back in front of us, that was a short-lived experiment with that GPS. So either we are getting unlucky with that GPS not performing well, even though the compass calibration performs well. It doesn't perform well in flight, and this one may perform well in flight, but can't really get a good compass calibration on it. So again, just switching out the radio to install with this one. What's up? No, not that I recall. All right. And there's more people taking photos here at the drone park while not flying drones. What a bunch of losers. Nice. Do exactly what I did and drop the parts that you need. Drop it like it's hot. And then double down. I actually did the wrong order there. Put the washer, then the hex nut. Should be washer, split nut, then hex nut. Look at that, trying to get in our YouTube video, take some of our YouTube fame, our YouTube clout. All dozens, maybe hundreds watching. All right. Telemetry radio back into telemetry 1, GPS back into GPS port 1. Wow, Develop Air feels so much heavier. Not so much heavier, but is definitely noticeably heavier with this GPS unit. Hey, how are you doing? Alright. Just got a bunch of parameter read fail errors. But we are now back connected. Just going to close out a Q ground control, reopen it. Alright, we are getting satellite information. No indication yet of compasses being inconsistent. And there we go. Speaking of the devil. Just a bunch of Satanists around here, Satan worshippers. Alright, I'm going to attempt this compass calibration before putting the props on. Hit OK.
I can interfere with what you got there, am I?
I don't think so. We're not doing any like video transmission or anything. We're just operating off of 915 megahertz frequency. All right. And the verdict is good enough. We have one on the borderline of green and one halfway in the yellow, so we're gonna rock with it all night. I guess that would be rock with you. Gonna rock with you. All right, the moment of truth. Gonna close out IVue ground control, install the props, switch back over to the iVue RC app, and see if we get continuous rotation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you have all been waiting for. I was made for loving drones, baby. Drones were made for loving. What's that?
Home built?
Office built, but yeah. Or I guess for the purposes of this park being strictly recreational, yes, home built. Because we are law-abiding citizens. We would never, you know, break any rules. You're not going to call the FAA on us?
No.
Again, because that was all hypothetical, so, you know, no reason to call the FAA on us anyway. All right.
Given the places I've flown, people probably should have called them on me.
All right. Let's see. Arm and fly. Take off to 10 feet, and let's see if it can maintain a hover without continuous rotation. Dun, 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 dun. No! So at least it does not look to be a GPS problem. However, I have no idea what is the root of this issue now. So, land flight mode. You're about to witness the best landing you've ever seen in your life. Not really, it's gonna tip over more likely than not, yep. And then it's not gonna disarm. Should have done this back at the table. Trying to avoid getting... All right. Well, not the results I was thinking that we would get. I was really thinking, if nothing else, this GPS would solve our problem. But that is clearly not the case. So we're going to have a fun team leadership call today, seeing who can help troubleshoot this problem, because I think we have one more GPS unit that we could try, but otherwise it's got to be some configuration or setup issue that I am overlooking that just need a second, third, fourth, or fifth set of eyes to help look at. So I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and you'll catch us in the next one.